All right, guys, welcome back to the Raised Hunting Podcast. I'm David Holder. I'm your host, and joined by my two boys that I will apologize because every week we have something that we go, oh, we almost made it. We almost got through it, whether it's one of them or myself included in that. A couple housekeeping things before I tell you about the topic, because the topic is a good one today, especially if you're like 90% of our listeners, 95%. And you're probably climbing in a tree stand or in a ground blind, but you're chasing a white-tailed deer. It is that time of year, and we got some really good information that we're bringing to you guys to hopefully help you kill that deer. So anyhow, but before that, don't forget, scents are going like crazy. Many of you, I don't know, by the time this comes out, LHD should be back in. I think.
Hopefully.
But we're working diligently to try to, we mustered up a little more, put it out there, made it 2 days, 3 days.
Yeah, that didn't
We
work.
love you guys, but we definitely have underestimated your desire. So anyhow, we will work on that, but most everything else, the elite package is the only one that's not in, correct?
David's is gone.
Oh yeah, David's selections.
And the hemp rope one is
Real close.
Yeah.
All right. Well, sorry, we're getting toward the end of that season, and again, the glands are a different deal than urine. We, we can't just put it all together and just go get more. You got to plan for how much you need. So anyhow, long story short, we love you guys. We appreciate it. If you guys are looking for, it's getting to be that Halloween, then Thanksgiving and Christmas. So gift time. Don't forget. I think it was a brilliant idea. I think it was Warren's idea. Maybe it was Easton's. I don't know. So I don't very often tell them that they had a brilliant idea, but it was brilliant. And that is that now we offer a candle with our scents.
Oh, that was,
and you can order it will come up that you ordered the candle, right? You didn't buy scents. You ordered a candle for her. And the scents just came with it. Come on, man. Don't get any easier than that. We're hooking you up. So there you go, fellas.
And it's pumpkin vanilla latte. We know every woman out there wants a pumpkin vanilla latte candle.
There you go.
Especially in the fall. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. That's right.
So there you go. So that's what we have. So with that, I will tell you what we're getting ready to talk about is mistakes. Ones we make, ones you might make, ones hopefully we're going to keep you from making because we have made them and we're going to air ourselves out. But there's some major mistakes that are made sometimes whitetail deer hunting, and don't get me wrong, I'm still going to continue to make some mistakes, and so are they, but you try to eliminate as many as you can because, remember, you're playing on their it's always a home court advantage for the deer. So with that being said, Warren, you got some stuff you need to shout out stuff?
Spotify, guys, you guys are on fire. It's going to be at 500 reviews on there pretty quick. Apple still sucks, so I'm close to giving up on Apple. Shout out to Delaney. They said, come on, son, hands down the best hunting podcast out there. Laugh, learn, and no BS ads. Keep it up, fellas.
I think we're going to have to come out with a shirt for it.
I think so.
I have people when they send stuff in on emails, they say hashtag ad free.
Yeah. We got to be one of the only ones.
I guess. It must be a big deal.
Well, I'm sure we've got to be. I like that idea. Cam Beck, he says, I'm from Washington. I'm curious if using buck junkie and creating scrapes is good for this state. I've attempted a lot of other tactics, and it's not necessarily working.
Where you say?
Washington State.
Washington.
I'm assuming he's hunting whitetails, though. But I got some people that are trying it on blacktails, got some people trying it on
coos
deer.
Or cows deer, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I think these are whitetails still. It's just in Washington.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I've had people respond in Washington. I've never got to physically use it there. But what did he say? Buck junkie and what?
If buck junkie and just creating scrapes is good for this state.
Yeah.
I've attempted a lot of other tactics and not necessarily working.
In my opinion, I would like to go hunt there at some point because I think it would be one of the best places to use it. If you have deer in the area, you never have to worry about the moisture or anything like that. You could have the most lit scrapes all the time if you kept scents in it.
I just wonder if those deer, I don't know if you're hunting near agriculture or if like it's mountain deer. Because I feel like I remember some deer from Montana, that northwest corner, that I don't know that I think scrapes could possibly be tough because they travel so much that they're not near as consistent. Like they're going here to feed, they're going there to bed. They're just kind of
I could see that
all over.
I don't think he's dealing with that. We were dealing with that because of weather. Those deer had to winter or something. They would leave. Where Washington, I don't think they get that kind of snow unless he's hunting the mountains.
Right.
So I don't know that for a fact. But here's the one thing that I would say that I don't know is part I do know, and that is when whitetails crossed over with where they're in a muley area, the whitetails will dominate the mule deer, and because they're more aggressive, even though they're not as big. And so if you don't have a very aggressive deer, that could be an issue. I mean, an aggressive strand of deer. I don't know if the scents might be something that they would go, whoa, holy crap, this is on roids. I don't want any part of this.
I mean, I would tell you, Cam, theoretically, it should work.
I agree.
I would tell you if you can find any natural scrapes in your area, then it will work. It's just that the only thing we don't know is some of the environmental factors of that, and do you have enough deer congregated in one place for them to do that? But it's still a whitetail. It's still the same glands. They're still going to communicate. So I would think theoretically it should work. I just don't want to guarantee it. Dueck. I shouldn't read this one, Dueck, but you did this to yourself, so I assume you must be okay with it. And we really appreciate you. I really appreciate this, the laugh. A long-time listener, first-time commenter. Love the podcast. Been hunting the last 3 years and just realized last week that the wind comes from the direction they say and not blowing that way.
You're not the only one, brother. You're not the only one.
Shaking my head. Ha. Hearing y'all say it reminded me of that. Keep up the great work. That's
that had to have been
funny.
such a big light bulb.
I just wonder how you're not just every time it's a northwest wind and you get in the stand and then it's southeast that you're not like, how are they wrong every time?
Yeah.
Because I feel like they're wrong every time anyways, but not polar opposite every single time.
I guess they're maybe it's because they're wrong so often that it's not that crazy. Joel Deanne Jernigan, Southeast Oklahoma, started putting Scrape King on all the natural scrapes plus my mock scrapes, and it can't get enough of it. So we like to hear. Dylan Yoakum. David is right on the pronunciation of my last name. The H is silent. Have a good one on camera, and he daylighted once October 20th. Had him a couple more times between 9:30 and 10 p.m. I believe he's living in an uncut cornfield. I'm wondering how far he might move after they cut that field. Keep up the great podcast, guys.
75 yards.
All right, you're in a good position, Dylan. I'd be trying to kill him right now while he's in the corn if you can. Get creative if you need to. Make a blind. Do whatever you need to.
Do the old row thing.
Well, if you have a daylight photo of him there, he's there somewhere. So you just got to figure out, get an idea of if there's anything you can put in your advantage. LV Outdoors, appreciate you. Vega, appreciate you. Eric Robards and Algoma Flyways. He said, good one, guys. I think I'm starting to feel targeted with all this waterfowl talk.
Yeah, we got to stop.
I have several comments about several people have written in and talking about waterfowl, and they send in pictures, and then when they send a picture, then they say, and then someone says, but we didn't build a fire. Maybe that's why we killed a duck or a goose or whatever. But anyhow, so lots of guys. Quentin Spock is one that I know that has sent several photos. This is for Warren. This is for Easton. Make sure they see this.
He's trying to get me to go. I'll go at some point. Warren won't. I will. To try it again. We have not only put fires out. Granted, Warren built the fire the one time. The rest of the times
30.
we've had multiple other experiences that were very lackluster, if I must say.
The best part about it was the biscuits.
I don't like breakfast, so that wasn't great either. Okay, we're going to go to our Q&A question. I got three of them for us today. They're kind of off the wall, each one is, so bear with me here. First one is Trent Koopman. How would you guys handle this situation? I'm 24. This is a little drama-y, so this is a longer explanation. Good answer. I think I know what you guys are going to say, but how would you guys handle this situation? I am 24 and have been hunting my family farm since I was 8. We always allowed a few people to hunt it outside of me a couple years ago. No punctuation. But a couple years ago, my sister and her husband lost their ground along with his family and are now hunting the same farm. In the past, outside of gun season, only like 3 or 4 people will hunt it periodically. It does now get pushed all around. Shotgun season is in December because they're in Iowa. There is now close to 12 people hunting it as well, and I have noticed a major decline in mature buck activity on the farm since this happened. I don't want to ruffle feathers, but at what point do I need to move on and find another spot?
Now.
Yeah.
12.
That was my first answer is going to be just go. Just go, man. I mean, you might try to kill something early if nobody else is in there or whatever, but do not put your weight into this. You're never going to be able to deal with that.
How do we go from 2 to 12?
3 to 4. He just said that it was just him, and then a few other people were allowed to historically, and then recently his sister and her husband lost their ground, and his family.
His family as well.
Yes.
Okay, so there's
and
now,
the family. So now there's like 12 people.
and we don't know how big this
it.
farm is, and
Correct.
But it sounds
We
like
just know
not
it's a
big
big
enough.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but because it
nothing wrong
sounds
with it,
like
but it's
dad or
you to-
whoever owns it doesn't care.
Yeah.
You know, so I would just say use it as a spot to go back to once in a while, and if there's a good deer, you run into it, great. If not, but move on.
But yeah, if you're trying to if you're trying to bow hunt and especially trying to, hunt some specific deer, or you mentioned age class, so maybe you're trying to manage deer, I would be not putting all my eggs in that basket.
I would tell you the good news is that you probably can go to public, and it's going to be less pressured.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
To be
that is
honest,
very
I mean-
true.
Well, but it also sounds like he's from here, from Iowa. Probably has a connect, especially if they own ground. He probably has a connection to find a neighbor or someone that he might be able to hunt on, where there's not getting to be that much pressure.
Yeah. Just depends. All right. Next one, Bryce James. Pop up. Come on. There it is. Listen to all the podcasts every week. Caught up with my biggest buck to date on Sunday morning, October 19th, working a scrape line in an oak bottom. Congratulations.
Awesome.
I think he actually, he did send photos. I will share that with you, Nick, because it's a freaking stud. I do have a question. Have you ever heard, or have you ever had a dead doe spook deer?
I just read this.
This morning I shot a doe at first light. Every deer, does, little bucks, and the mature buck that I killed, all spooked when they saw her laying dead in the brush. I've never had this happen before, and I've heard a lot of people, like Dr. Grant Woods is the first one to come to mind, that encourage shooting does and staying in the stand. I got lucky and was able to get him distracted and get an arrow in him, but this just really threw me off. Thoughts?
I haven't heard of that. I mean, I've seen both. I've seen, but what I'm wondering is because where was it that we were the other day that we had one laying there and there were still deer walking by out there. Some of them actually walked over to it. Another doe did, but at the same time, once they get close to it and they realize that it's not moving or maybe there's a puddle of blood there now, maybe that's what it sounds like to me. Because I can tell you this, I shot a doe one time when Mom and I were very, very young, in our 20s, and in Alabama, and got down. You weren't supposed to do that, but I did. I drugged the doe back over by us, and we had 3 bucks come to it that followed where I had drugged the deer. And so, it wasn't bothering them.
Well, that might be a little different scenario because they're freaks, and they were horny, But I've had deer bust from dead does. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen
like if they see the
times,
body,
but I've also seen
they don't usually freak out though.
Right.
They just kind of like run off and like, oh, that doesn't seem good.
I think kind of depends on what your magnitude of what. Like if I'm trying to hunt a specific buck, I'm not shooting does just 'cause I don't want to screw with anything. But you guys have shot way too many doubles, triples, quadruples for shooting a doe and leaving it to affect majorly. I don't think it.
Well, the buck you shot that time when you shot the doe, where was the doe? Did he go by that or anything?
No, he was following that doe just on the same trail. I don't know if he's actually following her, but he's on the same trail. Shot her, and then 5 minutes later, he just came walking up the same trail.
Right.
Shot him in the same spot.
But he never got to the dead deer. She ran down in the bottom.
No, he went and died next to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think where they got shot or the blood or anything spooks them. I think the body sometimes does.
Yeah, there's your answer for you. Kind of mixed. Okay, last one. This is a good one too. Hey guys, really enjoy listening to the show. Just a quick question that could be a good mini topic. I'm just wondering how often do you guys get deer hitting scrapes? doesn't have to be target bucks, just any deer in general. Some days I'll have multiple deer hitting one scrape, and the next day I might not have a couple, or maybe a couple days of not having deer hit it. What do you guys see? I think that's called wildlife, as far as deer being in certain areas. He's basically just asking. I think he's just trying to get
Frequency.
an idea of how frequent we have. If we have a scrape that we're talking about that's getting lit up, like, is that every single day that it's getting lit up, or is it every other day? But when it does get hit, multiple deer hitting it. And I think that each one is a little different depending on where it's at, the scrape, and how frequent it has been. I think the big ones, like if you get one that is going really well, and you're in the right spot, and you could have it pretty easily, deer hitting it every day. But I don't think that's a normal expectation to have. Most of your scrapes, I would think, are when they're coming by, or there's something else that they're getting fired up or something, they'll go by, hit it. Some days there may not be deer in that field for them to come by and hit it.
Well, I think you probably have had the most on one of the places you hunt, as far as I can't think of a time that I've ever hunted a buck that I was like, he's been here like 3 days in a row, especially 3 days in a row during daylight hours. I might have one that's been there multiple times. I'm still running SD cameras, so I got to check my cameras about once a week. And so in 7 days, I've seen him there 3 or 4 times, but it might be 2 in the morning, might be 10 in the day. He finally daylighted or whatever. I'm looking for the closest.
He's just asking deer in general.
Yeah.
Like, should I expect 0 deer at net, sometimes, and now I need to move it? Or there need to be at least X amount of deer, which
I would not go with the expectations that I need to see them every day for it to be that good. I mean, every other day, like I said, I have one right now that I would consider on fire. And I would say I probably have 2 to 3 deer at a minimum coming to it within a 24-hour period. And that's not all big bucks or anything like that. That can be fork and horns and stuff included. But I agree with him. There are days when I might have 8 of them show up in an hour. And I don't know. I can't direct the deer to say why they all would come at that time.
Yeah, I think I would say it's very difficult to give you a number to average it out as far as here's what you should expect. I would tell you earlier in the year, September, I don't think it'd be uncommon for you to have a deer hitting it every few days. I wouldn't say every day, but every few days. I would say that the window we're in right now till November 1st, 2nd, I don't think that it would be all that uncommon to be having deer. You should probably have a deer, at least one, depending on your population, hitting it every night.
Something, yeah. Even if it's a little buck or something.
Yeah, weather permitting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'd say, if you're going a few days, 3, 4, 5 days and not having a deer hit it, especially now, I'd probably be moving it. Other than that.
Or look next to your camera.
Yeah.
I've seen them do that before, where you don't think they're hitting that one right in front of you, and they got pissy and started the one right next to it instead. Now they're all hitting that.
Right.
All right. Well, that's my 3 questions for the day. Continue to submit those. Those are kind of fun. I like the quick questions, or ones you guys want quick answers to. Those are good. All right. Onward, donkey.
All right. So I think and I don't know what the specific question is or the specific mistake. I know that we could do an entire podcast on just my mistakes. So we can pick one that I think we should maybe address the one that came up the other day about someone bumping their deer.
Yep.
Maybe we start there.
That's a
Guys
common
good with that?
one.
Yeah, that's a common one. I mean, and I'm not saying that he made a mistake. I mean, he's going to his stand. But maybe the mistake is understanding when he would have been there, that kind of thing. I don't know, but we've bumped our deer for sure, and sometimes you know it, sometimes you don't. And of course, every time you hear a deer blow that has a deep at 5:30 in the morning and it's still dark, that was the big deer. You know it was him. You just ran him off.
So, what we're doing here is we're going to do the largest mistakes. Did we really, explain that?
I did at the beginning.
In one of the first largest mistakes, and I would preface that in October or towards the end of October, some of the biggest things to avoid, not to do. One is, that's just a common question that we get, that people are asking, will your deer come back? And your answer is
yes. 100%. I believe you can bump a deer more than once.
Agreed, but what's the mistake?
That's how we introduced it. There is no mistake in this one. That's what we're getting into.
Okay.
We're trying to get into is the scenarios of the mistakes.
Okay. So we want to start with what do we think, if there's one thing that the largest majority of guys are making that we would say is the biggest mistake?
Freaking out. Because I've been there and done that.
As far as what?
Freaking out trying to get a deer shot. I think a lot of people believe that once November hits, it's now later in the year. But then some people November is like, this is it. This is when it starts. Because I used to be the way of like, the season's been open since October 1st. I mean, it's been there for a month. You can't get anything done. Come on. And then you're only down to maybe, depending on what your state is, but a month or less after that, it starts to feel pressured. And I think that you start freaking out. And a lot of guys do. But that would be my mistake is this is getting to the fun, the part where I'll go sit just about anywhere in the timber or something with the right wind and get to see something happen. Whether I get a shot or not, it's about to get a lot of fun.
Okay, so stressing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's his number one. Is that your number one is what you're saying, you think?
I think I'm going off of a majority of people.
Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, my number one is too reliant on cameras.
Yeah.
That's my number one mistake. I think that I think you have a couple different levels of that. I think the guys will just wait until they get a photo. I think then their expectations they need a photo all the time, or he's dead, or he's gone, or he's not there. And then I think that they'll try and read too much into the information they have on the photo, like he's coming into the scrape this way, which means he's going to this food source, and he was bedding here, and this and that. And I just think there's not, unless you have something where you can distinctly see where he's coming from or something that makes it for sure, then I think you can't read too far into it. But I think guys just get too caught up in their cameras and what their cameras say. And then I think it causes them to go to wrong places or to make bad decisions or not make a decision because they're strictly reliant on that information.
You're adding me on the location, and I still will disagree with you. He's referring to when I look at trail camera pictures, when you see a deer coming from a certain direction, most of the time I'm like, oh, well, he's coming from this direction, which is at least something to take. You may not put all your weight into it, but I do disagree with you 100% on that if they come from a certain direction, especially if they do it multiple times, it's pretty fair to assume that they're coming from a direction as opposed to walking in a circle around your camera to get into the scrape a different way.
Well, if he's coming into a scrape, though, I mean, to be able to say that the scrape that's in the timber, to say that he came from here, I mean, he could easily walked over was going to the right and then came to the left.
Yeah, but I'm referring to, you're saying that there is no validity to it, and I disagree. That sometimes you're going to see where you can tell that they're coming in a certain way every single time. Pretty obvious where they come from, or
Yeah,
at least in a general area.
I think
it's
the
dependent,
time of
but-
year. I think the time of year, time of day, and what is there. Meaning, I can think of a deer this year that I felt like from the trail camera, I could tell you that he was bedded in a cornfield. Because every time I got a picture of him, it was in the evening coming from the cornfield, passing the camera. Every time I got a picture of him in the morning, he was going into the cornfield. And so, but I had like 10 photos or 10 videos of him doing that to go off of. It wasn't once. I agree with Warren. I mean, if you have one or two, I'm probably not putting my weight there. But when I start getting multiples of them, okay, he's coming from this direction every time.
Yep.
So my number one, I think, is that I think this is it's not just deer hunting, but it's big in deer hunting. And that is people don't put enough time in before. Meaning that if you are that guy that is just now getting going and now you're ordering your scents and now you're shooting your bow in the last couple weeks, you waited too long. If you want to meet the guy that if you want to know why the guy down the street has killed a booner every year or killed a big deer every year in your area, it's probably because he started in April or February when they were dropping antlers, and he did all this work to culminate to those few seconds that he wanted to get out of this fall
Or he's got a dang good piece of land.
Or he's got dang good. But
Yeah.
even then, you
because I
guys
do that. I'm freaking thinking about deer and turkey season, and I have not. I've not been that guy.
I don't know. I'll use Shane is the hardest working deer hunter. I've met one or two others that might be up there in that. I mean, because I think Shane outworks me, and I feel like I work pretty hard at this, and it pays off for him. I mean, he kills good deer every year, and he usually has a pretty good pattern for them and things like that. But he puts in the time and the effort, and that to me is, I think, the number one. When it gets here and now it's all fun. All of us are now like, ooh, they're starting to rut. I'm getting pictures. Ooh, and now if you're trying to figure it out, you waited too long.
The one I agree with you there is if you're freaking pulling your bow out a week before the season, or you're one of the guys walking into the bow shop to get your bow tuned for the season, that's BS is what it is. You need to be preparing before that. You don't just get and that's not fair to anything, to the animal or yourself, to go out and just assume that you're going to be good. That's a pet peeve of mine. I think that you owe it to the animal to at least practice. I mean, it ain't that hard. You should enjoy it. If you're going to bow hunt, you should enjoy to shoot your bow. I mean, as opposed to practicing one
Absolutely.
day before the season.
Okay.
So how do we solve all of our issues? What would you do to correct that so that it's not a mistake? I mean, I think we just go back in order the way. Take yours and say, how would you solve that?
Well, I think you should pick another one because there's nothing anybody can do about that one until next year.
But I'm not going to pick another one because I think that hopefully I can help them for next year.
But they can't do anything now. It's not a
Sure
tangible
you can.
thing that. What are they going to do now?
I can
fix that?
right now. I'm already trying. Like I can't tell you how many things I have that I'm like, okay, next year I need to do this. Next year I need to do this already right now, and I'm still going into the season now.
So the guy that just started shooting his bow last week is now we're having him prep
I'm not
for
saying
next year.
I'm not saying he won't be able to kill a deer because someone will go out there and still kill a deer and they won't have done anything. It happens. The dude pulls up in a car and he doesn't have anything to take the deer home in, or he doesn't have a knife and whatever, and he might kill the biggest deer in camp. It happens. I can't. Not for me. It doesn't. I can't rely on that kind of luck.
Okay, so, well then, I mean, if you want to go first then, on what
Sure.
you should do.
Well, I think that one of the things that you need to be doing is you need to be documenting the things that you see. Whether
Can you
it's
stop, click the lock button to make it stop vibrating.
I didn't know it was vibrating.
Oh, freaking, the whole thing's vibrating here.
Okay.
All right.
I would start looking at those things, looking at what today's the 23rd?
23rd.
23rd. So I've got 3 weeks of intel. Our season started October 1st. That would tell me what mistakes did I make. I learned a huge lesson on a farm that I've been hunting for 10 years. And that is that a straight west wind swirls bad. Northwest wind out of this particular spot, which I've moved this blind multiple times, and last year it didn't get winded at all out of the same blind. I have not moved it since then, but I was hunting it with a northwest wind. And the other day I went there thinking northwest will be just fine. It'll actually be better because of where it should have been blowing, but it wasn't. It was blowing southeast. So those are the types of things that I then log, and I go, okay, don't make that mistake again. Don't waste your time and come in here during that time. The other one that I know for a fact on that blind, don't go in there late. Never go to that spot when it's late in the day because you're going to bump deer. They come to this food plot pretty early. And on inclement weather days, they're even earlier, and there's more of them there. So what I'm getting at is that's just one location, but I might have another location that I'm still planning on hunting, and I'm already got in my head that I'm going, okay, what if I might want to adjust this? I have another spot that Nick and I were hunting the other day. We're trying to kill does, and now I don't have a stand in a spot that I feel like I found the highway. I feel like I can be in that cross. I know that's you guys won't like it, but waterfowl guys talk about being in the X, right? Well, this is the X. I see it. I can visually watch those deer go by there. I would bet that starting now or maybe in the next few days, I'm going to see bucks going through there because there were so many does there and so many does bedding there that I can. And so Those are the things that you can start doing. I'm not talking about putting in food plots. I'm not talking about go buy a piece of ground, go finding where you're going to hunt. This is not the time to do it. This is not the time to be knocking on someone's door asking if you can have permission.
Unless you need it.
But at that time, I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, it's convenient. It's never a bad time to get more land.
I'm just saying that your chances of getting a yes are way less this time of year as opposed to a time when there's no pressure out there, no one's really thinking about hunting, and you're there offering to help out or whatever. So there's better times. I'm not saying there's no deer hunting is not a guarantee. You can do everything that we talk about on this podcast and you still may not kill one. And we can do everything that we talk about on this podcast and we still may not kill one. And that's what I love about bow hunting is because even when you see them, even when you have them, I can't tell you how many deer Nick and I have had at 4 yards this year that got away. We did not get a shot. I mean, shooters. We were going to shoot the deer.
Does.
But yeah. It's still a shooter deer, a deer that I said, okay, I want to kill this deer, and it gets to 3 or 4 yards and I can't get a shot. That's the nature of the game. We can't, nobody can make it perfect for anyone. So that is one of the things that I would talk about. Stand locations and prepping stuff and making sure that you got stuff so that you're ready when you go in there, so that when hunting season rolls around, you're focusing on hunting. You're not focusing on fixing out stuff and doing stuff. You just go in and do it. And it took me a long time to learn that because I used to be I didn't have the time, or I told myself I didn't have the time. And then, but when you really get serious about it and you really say, I want to be the guy, I want to be part of that 10%. I want to be successful. And I don't mean one time here and there. I want to do this over and over again. Then you're going to commit to it. And when you commit to it, you'll see that it will change. You will be more successful.
Okay. I'll be curious to see how you're going to fix yours.
Oh, mine is a long process. Except for right now, it's actually no. I think right now, well, mine is stages, because it started with burnout by October 20th, because October 1st was unreal expectations of, well, I know deer here, I can get them here, and just outwork them. Didn't work, and then you get burned out to the fun times where you don't enjoy it as much. And then I didn't fix that for a year or two. And then as I've had multiple years of that where it just freaking sucked and I wasn't enjoying it, like I just stopped. And you guys are all like, you got to chill. You got to chill majorly. And it was mainly because I was putting so much freaking pressure on myself that I did try to work so hard. I worked too hard throughout the summers and everything else. Felt like I did everything I could possibly do. And it just wouldn't work. And so I realized real quickly, number one is don't ever forget why you're hunting and why you do it. Secondly is set your freaking expectations realistically. Like if you don't have deer in early October, just because it's the season doesn't mean it's magically going to happen. It doesn't mean you're going to, or do you just continue to hunt them as hard as you can, doesn't mean it's magically going to happen. So long phases is now I think you set your expectations to, I'm going to hunt some early in the season if I can in the right situation. I've got information on a deer somewhere or whatever. And then when it gets later in the year, which I shouldn't even say later in the year, but you're getting closer to the rut. Now it's like the time I'm going to start, this is where I'm going to put majority of my effort. So you have to rephrase or reset your expectations from trying to just outwork them to wait for the deer to be in the right spot. It's kind of like trying to play your card at the right time. And that's what I'm the worst at, is I wait or try to do something properly, and then it just eats at me, and I have a hard time of just chilling. But I think I've gotten better now by also not putting all my eggs in one basket, of giving yourself options. No matter how bad you want to kill one target deer, which I do very badly, you need to be able to go somewhere else for a different wind, or so you're not pressuring them left and right, or just accept that you shouldn't hunt it every single day in order to not pressure them. So,
do you think there's a way to alleviate putting that amount of pressure on yourself in the first place, or do you think that some guys, until they kill a deer or two like that, or maybe some guys are just always going to feel that pressure?
No, some people are always going to feel that way. That's how they operate. me personally, I didn't know how to fix it. I don't feel that pressure now. I feel the pressure of the success part of I want to accomplish a goal. I don't feel the pressure that I did years ago where it was like I didn't enjoy it. Now I could tell you that
It was last have to.
Yes, and last year I didn't kill a deer with a bow or a buck with a bow for the first time. And let me tell you, I did hunt a lot, and it wasn't. I don't feel any different about it. The right deer didn't come by, and I was okay with that. And which has made me feel much more calm this year too. That I already did it one year. It's okay.
Yeah.
Now let's try to give myself some better odds here and have some more fun with it.
Yeah. I think eating a tag is, I don't know that anybody likes it, but maybe it helps you realize it's not that big of a deal.
I think it helps.
Last year was the first time I ever ate a tag too.
Yeah. How did it feel?
I didn't like it. But I also felt it was actually a really good reminder to me that I think that there's probably a whole lot of the best deer hunters that are that actually may not be. I think consistency matters. However, I don't know that there's any deer hunter out there that could be consistent without the time. I don't really care how good you are. I think that if you don't have the time and the right conditions, it doesn't matter. As far time, number one, because last year was the least I've ever hunted in my life, and didn't kill a deer. And a lot of it, I think, was strictly like I was like, okay, this is what kind of like to have to, you got a weekend is not enough to be trying to kill 170 plus inch deer or a 5.5-year-old deer. You got 2 days to try to get them to do the right thing. And then you got a week between then, you got 2 days again. And it's just, that's a very, very, very difficult window to try to make that happen in my opinion.
No, I don't think you're stacked. You don't have the odds stacked in your favor, but I think a lot of that too is a matter of having a lot of different places you can go to. That you have the better choices, or not choices, but chances of something showing up that you don't know, versus just sitting in. I know a lot of people, including myself, will try to just stay in one spot frequently, and you're putting all your eggs in one basket. I mean, you can't really expect new things to show up all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Well, so I think yours ties into what I'm talking about. Because if you're out doing the stuff that you can, because unfortunately or fortunately, I was that guy, so I get it. But the majority of people are doing the weekend thing. The majority of guys have a 5-day, whether even if they're police officers or whatever, they got 4 or 5 days they're working and they might be off for 2 or 3, and may not be the greatest thing that ever came along. It was shift work, in my opinion, where a guy could hunt Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I think that you have a huge advantage when you're not hunting the weekend, when the majority of everyone is there, if you're hunting public ground or private ground. Yeah. I feel like, I've never done it. I've threatened to, and I never have. I bet if I went back and looked at all the bucks that I've killed more of them on weekdays than I have on weekends. I think they're just...
You've hunted a lot more weekdays than you have weekends, though.
Well, I did that on purpose for 20 years as a firefighter. That was the whole goal, was I worked for guys on weekends. If you're looking for someone to work for you, I'll work. Will you work Tuesday? Yep. And because if they worked on Tuesday, that meant I had 2 days on either side of that. I had Monday and Wednesday as well. So but I think what you just said though, Warren, is the number one. I've said that over and over again. You could be the greatest hunter in the world, but time kills deer. Time kills anything. If you can spend enough time, you'll eventually run into them.
That's not true. Not even close. That is such BS. It's not even funny. I have tried that theory, and if you guys would like to go freaking nuts too, go for it and tell me how it goes. But multiple years of 63 different sits and it not coming together, I can attest. Not true. Not true all the time.
Technically, it could still happen at some point, though, which would then
yes,
say
it could. But I'm not gonna freaking do it now. Oh, that theory out the window. I tried. I gave it everything I could for multiple years and tried it.
But you have had opportunities during that time, and
not for that caliber of deer.
Yeah, you did. Well, not every one of those years. But what year was Elway?
22, 23.
Okay, so that year, that one's excluded now because you had the opportunity. Granted, you weren't carrying your bow.
If I had the opportunity, deer would be dead.
Yeah, but he was there. You guys did what you needed to do. You put yourself in the right spot. He did what he needed to do, because this is something that I did start thinking about the other day. And I think this fits here. How many times you think of the biggest bucks you've killed? Let's just say top 5. How many times did you see them? And I'm not talking about in the summer. I'm talking about from a stand. How many times did you see them before you killed them?
That year or over the entire?
That year.
That year.
I'm not talking about over a course of time.
Well, BG was once.
Yep.
I think Magnum would be second, and he was twice. He winded us the one time, and I killed him the next time, so he was twice. The other deer,
Bullwinkle
was once. The 10 was once. And I think Dragon was once. So all of them once, with the exception of Magnum twice. Which I honestly almost kind of could have killed him that time. He just got really lucky he wasn't in my window.
Okay. And so if I take the top 5 or something like that, I'm in the same neighborhood.
How many
except
was
for he's the only one. He was the difference.
Base drop.
Junior was different. Base drop was twice.
Yeah, but wasn't he seeing him do it when he was hunting him?
No.
Oh, I thought you guys were on that deer left and right.
2 times. One time he came underneath me and Warren when Warren was filming for me, and then the next time I saw him, I killed him. So my point is, if you go back and look at that, you don't get multiple chances at these suckers.
I would agree with that. To get more, I would agree. I think you're typically going to get 1 to 2 encounters.
Juice
max.
and Junior are the 2
outliers.
Outliers, and I think that's because of where they lived. They were so comfortable they would walk around and do things that
the
normal.
Big 8, you saw him multiple times.
In 1 year, though, he's talking.
Yeah, I still think I only saw him.
I filmed the deer multiple times.
Yeah, but the year I killed him, I only saw him twice. Saw him the first time, didn't get a shot, went back and killed him.
I think it would be more fair to say the year before, because the year before, when you do see a lot of those, if you have seen him multiple times, that is what killed him the first time the next year.
It would be
like getting the information on him. Like the Big 8, the information you had on him year to year, that's why you killed him after 1 or 2 times. It wasn't because he just was not around or you weren't going to get opportunities. I mean, I agree in the sake of a big deer. I think you only get 1 opportunity. But I am saying that you guys did have, it's not like these deer were just random one-time things. They all had some kind of experience previous to that, years previous.
I'm not, okay, so I want to clarify, because I agree with what when you get them on trail camera multiple times and you see them from the road and all that's intel. But I'm talking about when you're physically in that tree. All these deer we just talked about, 1 time, 2 at most, other than 2 deer in 40 years of bow hunting them.
How many was Juice?
Like 8. 6 or 8 times. I know 6 times I was at full draw. There was times I saw him, I didn't get to full draw.
6 different occasions?
6 different times I was at full draw on him.
Holy shit.
With Drew twice.
Sure? In that same year?
With Drew twice. Before where you planted beans now, I had that stand that was right on that edge. I was twice there. Once he was down at the rub and I hit the antlers and he came right to us. The other time he was down at the rub. I saw him and then I didn't know where he went and he showed up at the scrape and Drew couldn't film. He said it's too dark.
The other time he got by us when where he shot that buck.
With the doe.
But I don't think you drew on him there.
Yeah, oh yeah. I was at full draw, but I couldn't shoot. So that was 3. Then the time that I wounded him and then the time that I killed him right there is 5. And I'm trying to think of because I know it's 6. Where was the other time?
That's a lot.
In the Southwest stand. You had 2 encounters with him there, didn't you?
Southwest stand.
Where you hit him.
Yeah.
No, I only had 1 encounter with him there.
Oh.
The other one might have been, I'm thinking of, and we didn't get to full draw. It was Mom. We had him in the south stand. When we saw him over like where the horse pasture is, and he came straight to us.
That would be hilarious if Mom killed him. She'd be like, I think this is a pretty nice one.
I was doing everything I could to help her. I was rattling like crazy, and he came running across it. That was the night he lost his eye.
Oh, yeah.
because I had seen him the day before and he had both eyes. And then that morning he turned around, his freaking head is all swelled up.
So what's your shock with the 6 on that one?
That's a lot.
Oh, yeah. I would
A
agree
lot
with
of encounters. I agree. I think that I've had a time or two where I've put Alyssa on a deer and, something goes, like we get an opportunity and something goes wrong and stuff, and then she's upset about it. And I tell her, I'm like, a mature deer like that we're trying to chase that specific one, a Mr. List, something like, you get one. In my opinion, I do believe, I think you better bank on, you're going to get, even if you're having multiple encounters, you're going to get one opportunity to have them in bow range, give you a good shot, and it all happen the way it's supposed to. Do I think that most of the time with the right effort and everything else that you can have that happen once a season? I do believe that personally. I think maybe people who can really stack things in their odds might be able to make that 2 or 3. But I do think it's one time. I think because I do think that, well, like I said before, I think there's certain deer that's just different. Juice just lived there, and Juice was kind of a tard. Like he was
a bully. He wasn't
up.
afraid anything.
He was just on crack all the time. I mean, he was just insane. Like, I think he's like, there's nobody around here that can take me, and so I will go wherever I want, whenever I want. And I think he bled that over outside of deer to where he wasn't afraid of people that much either, it seemed like, because he was just like, I'm going to go wherever I want to, whenever I want to, and nobody's going to stop me. But I think these other ones, I think that you may not realize you had an encounter with them, and it just adjusts them a little bit. They busted you going in, or you walked in a certain way, didn't think they were going to come from there, and they smelled you where you were, and so now they skirt a different 40 yards, and it takes you that long to pick up on it because you only have you have limited info.
But and so I guess my whole point for bringing that up is because when you think about that, when it feels like you've put in 50 days or 60 days, and we've all done it, man, we've all been there, and you think, man, and it didn't pay off. It did. I mean, in that particular case that day, Elway did what he needed to do. And just for those of you that Elway is not a person, it's a deer. But anyhow, he did what he needed to do. And you're just not going to, the chances of going back and going, okay, now he's here, we know that, not good. At least in my opinion, and maybe that's because I'm the hunter that I am, I'm not good at getting him to do it multiple times. In Juice's case, I'll go back to the fact that none of those spots were the same spot. Every time that I encountered him was somewhere else. I was able to move on him because I figured out what he was doing. Junior was the same thing, but Junior he is the exact opposite of Juice. Junior just was super freaking lucky.
Yeah.
The only thing that saved Junior was that blind.
Yeah.
The wrong kind of blind setup.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's hanging on your wall.
But Junior at the same time was kind of maybe a smart deer, because if you weren't sitting right there,
you weren't going to see him.
He's gone.
Yep.
Because he's just doing the exact same thing every day. And I mean, unless you had a camera in that 200-yard circle, you weren't going to see him.
Yep.
Fair enough.
So how do you solve yours? How do you solve the trail camera thing?
Well, I think it comes back to a mindset thing. I think they're all mindset, that you have to convince yourself that you don't need that piece of information. There's a whole lot going on that you're not seeing. So I think you need to go sit next to your camera, and you need to sit right next to it, and then you need to count the amount of deer you see, and then you need to count the amount of pictures you get. Then go hunt other places and go off of, trust yourself and the sign. Do whatever you need to break yourself of that, so that it doesn't become a crutch. Because, we have one spot that we all talk about, Gobbler Knob, that taught me that, where I would say I was almost somewhat camera dependent, same thing. And sat there really with that, those certain places where you sit there and you're like, this is going to be lightning. And then you have other places where you're like, I'm not going to see shit.
Yeah.
And that was my very first thought when I sat there. I was like, I'm not going to see shit. And I saw like 25 deer.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the heck? I was like, that was an anomaly. And I can't remember if we'd already had the camera there or we didn't have the camera there. I don't think we did, actually. Sat there again and thinking, no way that it happens twice. And sure it did. And I was like, what the heck? And so then we decided to put up a camera. I think, because we were like, oh, there's so many deer here. And then you go and you pull that card, and you'd be like, there's no point in sitting there. Like, there's an occasional deer that goes by, and it just wasn't the case. And so after I saw that, I was like, okay, I can't put so much weight into these things because there's a ton that they're missing. And that was the other thing, is I'd seen a deer. We had a camera at Gobbler Knob that year, and I'd seen a deer 4 or 5 times. Same buck, never had a picture of him. And saw him from that stand. I mean, it was within 150 yards of the camera multiple times. Never had a picture of him until well later in the season, where you'd have been like, oh, there's a new buck here. In fact, no, he'd been there the whole time.
Yeah.
I just didn't know it. I mean, from the cameras. So I think you have to force yourself to get it uncomfortable.
See, I don't rely on cameras to hunt by, as far as I rely on them to know they're there. That's enough for me. That's really all. Now I love running cameras. I think it's fun to go pull a camera, and especially now you got video because you can see them reacting to our scents or doing whatever. But man, now you know they're there. Now it's up to you to go figure out what was he truly doing? Where was he going?
Yeah, I think they can be a major tool. I think they can absolutely definitely move the needle too and help you kill deer. I just think some guys get just too stuck on solely relying on the information they get from those cameras.
I would agree with that.
And
that the statement about what they're catching. I would love to know, like, a percentage. Are they catching 10% of what walks by there? Are they catching? It depends on where the camera is and what it's able to see, that kind of thing. But
yeah.
There's so much that it doesn't know.
For sure. Yep.
So.
Okay. We can go any more, or we can stick with those 3?
I think.
Well, unless you're going to dive even deeper.
Well,
you
probably need to hunt.
Jump higher. Yeah.
Do what?
I said I would rather jump higher. I mean, I'd like to go get in a tree stand.
Okay. You ready for a wacky fact?
No, I don't know if I am for that.
Sure. That's where we're going.
You already have it?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. This is either really good or really bad. All right.
It's really good. Do you know why the NFL won't let people keep the footballs? Shut up, Nick.
I feel like I should know this. Any slight hint?
No.
Okay.
I think it has something to do with, well, I would think that it would cause problems with the players and things like that. But I don't know. I mean,
so that nobody can make them.
Nope. Not even close.
Or so they can sell it?
No, I didn't get it either. I was like,
okay, what is it?
They are microchipped. And so they are getting data from these footballs on how far they were thrown, velocity, height, all of that
so
stuff.
So it's recent then? Like in recent years?
I mean, I think it's been a few years, but the footballs are microchipped and downloading data.
That really makes me mad because I remember, now that you say that, who was it that chucked was it Mike Evans? Chucked his 1,000-yard ball into the stands or whatever, and he got a major fine. I'm like, who cares? And they said it was something about something that was in the football.
Well, they trade them now. That. So they'll give him another football, but they don't give him the one that was on the field. Which I'm sure is like, now we're near. It's like, well, I can go to Walmart and buy one too.
Yeah.
Well, what sucks about that is, because I do believe that football's changed, NFL has changed tremendously. Number one, now there's no more defense. And this is for all those guys out there that watched football 30 years ago, maybe 40.
So basically all the old guys.
Yeah, but it was back when defenses won. The defenses won. If you went to the Super Bowl, whoever had the better defense, that's who was winning. That's just the way it worked. Now it's offense driven 100%. The rules have changed and everything, because now it's not uncommon. There's less than a minute yet left, and there'll be 20 points scored by both teams, but between the two teams. They'll score.
Less than a minute left?
Less than a minute. I've seen it multiple times.
Find me a game where they do 20 points where consistently all the time.
Go look at the night games that we've had this year. Monday night and Thursday night and Sunday night.
60 seconds where both teams are scoring
touchdowns and kicking field goals and back and forth.
Rare.
12 seconds. No, it's not. Not anymore. So, but my point is, what he's talking about with the ball.
My fantasy team would say it's rare.
Yeah, but your fantasy team never rarely gets over 50.
You.
So, But my point is that I wonder how much the ball has changed, because now these guys are capable of kicking the ball 70 some yards, and nobody was capable of doing that. The dude that held Dempsey, that held the record forever, only had half a foot. And
that could be part of it.
Yeah, but if you had a whole foot, how far would it have gone? He kicked it 64 yards with half a foot.
Because he clubbed it.
But my point is that now it's not uncommon. These guys are getting to the 50. We're in field goal range. And they're making a lot of them. And I think it's because the ball, so it's not fair, I guess, you have in the kicker's stats, then you're going to have there's not going to be something that says, well, it changed at this point.
It's also called progression.
I know. But
people get better.
I think
when the people before them and the coaches before them have had 20 years of experience versus the people before them only had 10, that means they're going to get better experience and better coaching. Means it should be progressively getting better.
That's normal, and I agree with that. But the technology behind the equipment and stuff that makes the ball go farther because they found a way of building it different. That's not fair to the dude that he may have had the same leg that the guy that kicks a 70-yarder now, but he could only kick it 55 yards 30 years ago.
Well, but maybe that data isn't for the equipment. Maybe it's to see what the athletes are capable of.
I
think that, to me, that'd be cool. It's like, to put it in their pads. Because then imagine now, so you got all these...
You got trucked by Derrick Henry.
You got all these defensive guys, right? Especially all these old school dudes who are saying, this ain't football anymore. And maybe they're right. But imagine if you could look back at that data, you could say, Ray Lewis, on average, delivered 550 pounds of force per tackle. And then you see now, actually the linebackers now, it doesn't look as violent, but they're actually delivering 560. And then you just would be able to see those things. Like, I think that could be pretty cool.
I think they are doing that. Because don't you remember the one they just did? Jerry Rice has been retired for many years, but they did one with him where he jumped, and they showed that basically the quarterback only had to throw the ball to an elephant. That's what they put behind.
That's not any that doesn't show the relative difference between player to player. He's talking about seeing an actual statistical number. That dude had long arms and was a freaking nutcase on getting the ball.
Yeah, and he could jump and so. But I mean, basically, they were saying you just throw it in his general vicinity. A quarterback doesn't have to be that accurate, and Jerry's going to catch it.
I haven't seen anything about foot pounds on how much they're getting hit by each other yet. But when they do that, that would be slick. AWS or whatever.
Scattaboo would be like, I'm going to get the record.
It'd be like the freaking punching bags at the bar. He'd be like, Coach, look, I got 900.
He'd be like, Dart, slingshot me.
They could put a little readout on their helmet that says, I just delivered 960.
New record.
Boom.
Yeah. The first
1,044.
They should make the first down marker light up, too. Like, they could make it censored with the ball. So then when the ball crosses it, then instead of the sticks, just being there, they just light up, first down.
Well, they could.
Why don't they do that?
Same reason that we still have an umpire in baseball. Why do we have that when they show the little box and they could just computer could go strike, ball, strike.
They're getting close on that one.
I know
the amount of some of them are terrible.
Into all 32 MLB stadiums next year, that there will be an automated zone and each team has one challenge per at bat.
Oh boy! So umpires are no longer.
So you'll see what you're talking. I mean, it'll all be tracked on the field. They wouldn't even have to have it in the sticks. They could have it lined on the field and because you can do that with a race. When people are running, they chip your foot, and when you cross that, you went across it. Yeah. So if the ball was now, there'd be no doubt whether or not it's touchdown because the thing went off, which means the ball made it there.
Yep. People in the future and be so much smarter than us. They're not going to be like, oh, this good dude got lit up. And be like, did you see Cam delivered 1,342 pounds of force to that linebacker?
That'd be so boring.
Nerds.
All right.
Well, good luck to you guys. We hate to cut this short. I don't know that we're cutting it short, but we are going to go climb in a tree because it is that time of year. So by the time you hear this, Easton might have killed a buck or not. He might still be looking at carrying his tag. And then I don't think we mentioned the doe competition at all, and I don't know where it will be by that time, but it is still isn't it a 3 deer lead, 8-5?
Yeah, what's your total poundage?
I don't. It was at 700 and something, and then I added one more, so 800 and Let me see if I can give you. I was at 716 plus 95, so we're looking at 811. And then there's some 0.9, so like 812.
So you have a 267-pound lead. I need 2 133s.
Well, you know where to go.
I got a couple on camera. I'm getting ruined. Now I look at the does more than bucks. I'm like, oh, dude, that one's got to go 140. You know, like, that one's only 110.
Well, the biggest doe that I could have shot this year, unfortunately, and I don't know why we're seeing them, had a fawn with spots with it. And I was like, I can't do that. I mean, he's definitely still relying on mom. And so we let her walk, and glad we did. I mean, he was a little tiny guy, but the next doe that was with her didn't have one. So
That'll do it.
all right. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget, go to the website. Make sure you grab your scents. Get your candles or your just stuff that you might want some of the raised apparel. So grab that. We're out of here. We'll see you next week.